Hey guys, how you doing? Coach Mitch here. So you take 100 guys, have them look at 10 different girls, and try to have these 100 guys come to a consensus of which one is the prettiest. Yeah, have these guys figure out and come to a consensus which one is the prettiest. Do you really think they're going to have an idea? They're going to come to some kind of grand conclusion that this one person is the most beautiful, right? Even look at Miss America, Mrs. America, what do you want to look at? Oftentimes, I don't agree. Usually number 3, 4, 10 is what I think is the prettiest, right? I feel the same thing about the polygraph. We must have this conversation today because the polygraph results are really starting to irritate me. I have clients, as you know, I get about 20 clients a week, 80 a month easy, that's a minimum. And sometimes they don't pass the poly. I see about polygraph failures all the time on different channels out there and things of that nature. And so I know it's not what I would call dependable. Let's go into it. The first point is this. I think the polygraph punishes the honest applicants, and I think it doesn't do so for the dishonest ones. So you're probably asking, what does that mean? Well, the poly is designed to detect deceptions, right? It's designed to show who's being deceptive in practice, right? In theory, that's what it's supposed to do, but in my opinion, it often fails to do so. Thousands of honest applicants are going through this process and they're triggering what I call false positives on this machine, okay? Because of nerves, anxiety, psychological reactions, unrelated to lying, but related to being in the process, being strapped down and hear these questions that some are kind of outlandish, right? I've been under poly myself years ago, and some of the questions are really just uncomfortable. They're just kind of strange, right? So meanwhile, the guy who's calm under pressure, though he may be lying, he can still be deceptive because he understands how to do that. And so what's the result? CBP loses motivated applicants who are qualified, but because they don't react to stress the same way a guy who is, say, trained to handle stress, they don't make it. It would be a nightmare to see how many qualified CBP applicants don't make it past the poly. Number 2, the poly is a one-size-fits-all in a very complex process. Kind of go back to the 100 guys looking at 10 girls trying to figure out which was the prettiest. Too many men there with too many subjective opinions trying to make an objective decision. It's not going to happen. Guys like tall, short, fat, skinny, whatever they like. 100 guys cannot come to the same conclusion. Entry-level federal applicants, my applicants, right? They come from all walks of life. I've got medical assistants, security guards, blue-collar guys, mechanics. I've got it all. In the past 6 years, I've dealt with every person from every walk of life almost, right? Students, veterans, civilians, teachers, whatever it was. We are expecting all of them to perform the same way under a high-pressure environment. Yeah, all of them, doesn't matter. This is why I tell you it's unrealistic and very unfair. Because a mechanic might react to different than, say, a medical assistant, than, say, a security guard. They all have different subjective responses biologically to a machine and somebody asking them questions that are uncomfortable, right? It's a different aspect there. A machine cannot possibly interpret years of your experience, your trauma, your medications, whatever. It cannot possibly do that and be objective for everybody. It doesn't work that way. The third one, if you want to talk about fiscal responsibility, right? The polygraph slows down hiring and waste resources. So you're probably thinking, what do I mean by that? These agencies lose thousands of people per year based upon the poly, which is, in my opinion, again, silly. You know, look, if you're going for a high-level CIA job, yeah, poly for sure, I would definitely have that in place. However, an entry-level federal law enforcement position should not have a poly attached to it. Doesn't make any sense. You guys who are research inclined, look up Dan Crenshaw 2022. He tried to stop this whole poly nonsense from happening in the first place, but it never got anywhere. So what happens then, because they're disqualifying people based upon nonsense, in my opinion, the hiring process is pretty busy. This is why I'm so busy, right? Because they knock out people so fast, people trying to fill in the gaps, you know, they got to go through the process, of course, right? I feel if the poly wasn't there anymore, right, he'd make things a lot easier because people would be just have to worry about the natural processes of getting a job, of course, right? So, and then what happens too, the last thing I want to tell you, the poly creates distrust before you even begin your service because a candidate's first experience, right? Imagine going to a job the first time, or you're almost there at your job, you almost have your job, and they go through some interrogation for some poly. That's going to put seeds of doubt and seeds of distrust already. You have these motivated applicants, right? And they're sitting there, and you're damaging the trust before he even starts the job because you put them under this pressure for the poly. And that's just one heck of a way to say, hey, welcome to the team almost. Let's poly you first, which you have a 50% chance of not passing, and good luck, and maybe you come to the team or not. So if they don't make it, puts a sour taste in their mouth, And so this is what happens with the poly. You should be focusing on integrity, background verification, and of course, the structured interview. Those are the things you want to qualify somebody on. And last I want to tell you, this is point 5, I guess the bonus I tell you. I think there is some subjectivity going on too in the results of the poly because number one, the poly is not even allowed in court. It's inadmissible in a court. Anything derived from a polygraph is not allowed in court. It's not considered reliable, obviously. So we're taking this thing, not allowed in court, we're making it be the end-all, be-all for people who are going through the process. Kind of weird, right? Number 2 is this. A human controls it. Yeah. So how subjective really is it really if a human's controlling the results, right? Even take a human component out, right? Somebody has to make the machine, right? Somebody puts in the information to the machine, right? It's like if you ask AI, if a bunch of guys from planet Mars developed an AI machine, right, for you to look at, you say, what's the most beautiful girl in the world? They'll probably say a Martian, right? Because that's where they're from, right? The machine is only going to produce what's get put into it. You understand? So it's going to look for little jumps here, little jumps there. They're natural for humans. We're emotional beings. We feel things. We're not meant to be drones. We have emotions. So how can a machine objectively rate somebody on being a mechanic, how he reacts, being a nurse, how he reacts, being a trash man, how he reacts, being a security guard, how he reacts? How can it do all that? It can't. You guys, if you have any opinion here, put it down below. If you defend the poly, put that down as well. If you agree with me, let me know why. Get into the community. This is a community here. Tell the community why you do or don't believe in the poly. All right, take care. Bye-bye.